Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Concurrent session 1.2. This session is Global Citizenship Education as Lifelong Education. Today we have three presenters from each different countries. They are all the leaders of the activists and educators of global citizenship education. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself as my name is Gonsu Han. I'm teaching cultural anthropology in the Department of Cultural Anthropology of Gangwon National University in Korea. I teach cultural anthropology and cultural diversity and also global citizenship education. I participated many activities of APSEU since year of 2000. And today, I'm very happy to have our wonderful three presenters. Especially, I have good presenters from Nigeria because Nigeria is actually my special place for my anthropological career because I started anthropological research in Nigeria. And first of all, I'd like to introduce our presenters. Today, we have our first presenter is Ms. Nomimma Ulizabat from Mongolia. And our second presenter is from Nigeria, Iniulua Odekunne from Nigeria. And last presenter is Ms. An Hyun-suk from Daegu City of Republic of Korea. Today, this session will talk about the global citizenship education as lifelong education. As you know, the many societies, lifelong education becomes more important because some countries like Korea, the aging society and lifelong education becomes more, the need for lifelong education is increased a lot. And also the education itself should be lifelong. And global citizenship education needs to develop more activity and more development in the sector of the lifelong education. So today, these three presenters will talk about their own activities and experience, how to promote global citizenship in their own field of the activities. So you have 20 minutes for presentation, and after each presentation, we'll have a Q&A time. And when we finished all three people's presentation, we will start our group discussions, and also we can receive a Q&A in the final part. So let's start from the Ms. Nomimma Ulizabat. I will introduce her activities in brief. Ms. Nomimma Ulizabat is a social activist and works with youth focusing on gender, media literacy, and global citizenship education in Mongolia. Currently, she is successfully initiating and implementing a non-profit project, Check. This organization promotes the importance of media literacy for Mongolian youth through training, digital manual, comic, and website. Especially, the project was awarded funding from the UNESCO APSEU and reached more than 20,000 target people. Very successful program. Additionally, she founded UWIB Mongolia. It is a youth club empowering young women across Mongolia. And she is very busy and very, the active leaders among the youth in Mongolia too. So today, she will talk about her own experience in his Check, the project. Why don't you start your presentation? You have 20 minutes.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce you Nara, a young Mongolian woman residing with her family in the majestic Altai Mountains, situated 1,700 meters above sea level and 1,200 kilometers away from the city. Nara, like just like many of nomadic youth possess a smartphone that grants her unhindered access to the internet, their primary source of information is social media, predominantly Facebook and Instagram. Now, let me introduce Bata. He calls Ulaanbaatar city his home, and just like many other Mongolian youth who wield smartphone as their windows to the world, he also uses social media, primarily Instagram and Facebook, to stay updated with global news, and he seldom turns to traditional medias like television and newspaper. So as you can see, Nara and Bata hail from contrasting environment and experiences, but they share a common privilege, access to the vast realm of internet. But there is a problem. The problem is they rely on social media in their daily online life. You may ask, why is this a problem? But as we all know, not every piece of information posted on social media is reliable or accurate, you know. So let's shift our focus to Mongolia, a nation with an approximate population of 3.4 million. You may or may not know about Mongolia, located in the heart of Asia. Here, the internet usage is remarkably high, and nearly everyone owns a smartphone, and a staggering 90% of the population incorporates social media into their daily lives. This widespread usage comes with its own set of challenges as well. Since the year 2015, we've observed a concerning trend in the proliferation of fake news in social media platforms. This alarming phenomenon has resulted in a consistent rise in the number of people falling victim to misinformation, and with approximately 1,000 cases reported annually. Astonishingly, Mongolia's social media regulations haven't been rigorously enforced, which has left a multitude of cases and issues left unresolved. And as a result, there's a significant proportion of cases and issues remain undetected, and severely impacting the overall quality of our citizens who rely on social media in their daily life. So, based on my, before going to my survey, unfortunately, there are many people like Nara and Bata may lack the precise knowledge to navigate social media platform effectively, and they don't know how to protect themselves on social media, right? So based on the survey I conducted encompassing 1,000 people aged between 16 to 65, it's concerning to note that significant 63% of the respondents lacked precise knowledge regarding the effective utilization of social media, and they're also very unaware with strategies like how to safeguard themselves against its potential pitfalls. And the remaining percentage only possess the rudimentary knowledge, like verifying the credibility of the information, which they seldom applied in their daily online interactions. So therefore, it is our collective responsibility to contribute to addressing this pressing issue. Driven by this core belief, I launched the Check Check project in collaboration with invaluable support of UpCU into 2021. This initiative has seen as a successful implementation across its two distinct phases, encompassing a series of 5 key activities, as you can see here. And of course, our passionate and dedicated team members has been instrumental in bringing this project to life. And thank you, team. They're watching right now. So I've also formed 2 other teams. All of them comprise young leaders deeply engaged in social media, and all driven by the commitment to problem solving. So as a cohesive unit, we've successfully executed this groundbreaking 5 initiative aimed at fostering media literacy and promoting global citizenship education throughout Mongolia. So our first milestone as part of the project was actually creation of the first digital manual on media literacy and of course GCED. There were existing materials in this regard in Mongolia, but most of them were merely translations of materials issued by international organizations like UNESCO and Dutch Well, spanning over 200 pages, filled with lots of theories and terminology. Consequently, these sources proved as a challenging for young Mongolian individuals to apply in their daily life, So I did the market research on that to find out that Mongolian young individuals really need materials with specialized guidance. So this make us to make a decision to create this type of manual. It was a challenging, of course, especially for us, like a youth with little experience in this field, but not having that much experience was actually helpful for us to think freely and not follow the strict rules always. But of course, we are not superheroes, and we did some meetings with experts and sector specialists to get their advice on our manual, but it's just a reviewing process. So it's a non-traditional method, perceived as innovative and creative with its audience. So the manual has reached more than 1,000 people so far. So to further disseminate our effort, we established the Youth Ambassadors Program. This program focuses on distributing the manual and educating global citizens who are eager to address the challenges they faced. Within the program's framework, we train 25 young leaders around Mongolia under the mentorship of the leading experts and for about a period of 1 month. Our participants hailed from the different regions from across Mongolia and residing far from the city. But despite their diverse lifestyle, they all shared the common trait. They deeply engaged in social medias and they possess a proficient level of English language skill. So the proficiency of our participants greatly facilitated in the process of imparting knowledge about meal and GCED. So they also completed UPSIU's online training on GCED and received expert-led sessions and participated in a live discussions, strengthening their understanding. Also, they not only develop themselves, but they also influence others through what they learn from this program. And also, more than 1,000 people were able to get knowledge about meal and, of course, GCED. So these are the first phase of our project. And in the scale-up phase of the project, we expanded our initiative to align with the interest and need trend of young people. And we established a youth club for young people. For young people, it's just like for further distributing our project, So we enlisted 20 dedicated team, and through a regular engagement, we aim to inspire these young minds to further bolster, embrace GCED as a lifelong tools and continually impacting society. So presently, our club is welcoming new members. So I'd like to invite you to join us and to share the importance of the GCED. Yeah. So one notable endeavor was within our project was creation of first digital manual on meal and GCED through Mongolia. So this comic book spanning 4 chapters and available in 3 different languages, Korean, English, and Mongolian, was designed to pique the interest of young people. So within our comic book, we address the prevalent issues stemming from lack of media literacy and presenting them in a relevant manner for young readers. Through this approach, we aim to illuminate the significance of GCD and media literacy, and highlight the potential challenges that may arise. And so what sets our comic book apart is just like our innovative, maybe creative delivery and makes it distinctive resources to promote GCD and MIL. So our comic book have been read by almost 1,000 people so far. We additionally established a website to share the experience of global leaders who have initiated the project similar to us in the realm of MIL and GCD. The website serves as a source of information, for young people to further implement and initiate the social-oriented projects, especially for GCD and media literacy. And our total, in total, our project has reached about 60,000 target people through Mongolia, aimed at fostering media literacy and promoting global citizenship education. So let me introduce you to someone special, Brunei. She was part of our project, and she was able to gain a precise knowledge on MIL and GCD. And armed with this knowledge, she's better equipped than Nara and Bata. Better equipped than and then she gained a better understanding of about MIL and GCD, which is required to be a good global citizen. But I'm sure that there's a lot more people like Nara and Bata without the precise knowledge and lack of the knowledge on MIL and GCD. So that's why I urge you to join us and to educate more young people. So even though we've successfully reached many people, that's the reason why I'm here maybe. And that's why I really like to talk about my project maybe. So help us spread the message that the GCD and MIL aren't just a subject to learn and memorize, but they are lifelong resources that can be relied upon in times of needs and serves as a guiding light throughout our lifelong journey, right? So, so I'm just finished my presentation. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the dedicated professionals and the young leaders, and also thank you to FCU team and Mrs. Jihon, and who wholeheartedly contribute to this noble cause. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. You have a good time management. Yeah, maybe you didn't listen to the bell sound, but your presentation is right on time. We have very interesting presentation by Nominma, and she is a leader and a founder of the Check project, and then she promote media literacy education in Mongolia, especially for the youth people. And in the presentation, the beginning slide, it was very interesting. She showed us 2 very contrasting images of Mongolia. The very traditional image, but also the other one is urban youth, the life of urban youth. So she has a very meaningful the campaign and educational programs. So now we have a 5 minutes for the Q&A session. So if you have any question for her presentation, why don't you raise your hand and our staff will deliver you a mic. Yes, the first. When you ask a question, please introduce yourself very briefly, and you have just 1 or 2 minutes question. It will be
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Marbella, part of the Young Leadership Workshop of GCD alumni. I'm from Mexico, and my question is like, what are the strategies that you use to reach all these people? Because you reach to many people from different parts of Mongolia. So that's my question.
Thank you, Maria.
Why don't you have one more question so she can prepare her answer? Yes, that place. Oh, first and second.
Okay, so myself Shruti and I'm from India. My question is that how you make the comic book interactive and what are the basically content? Like how you get the idea so that you can just impart the knowledge at the same time and the people get interact with that comic book.
Okay, do you prepare to answer now? Okay, why don't you answer now and then we'll have another question. Please wait a little
Yes,
bit.
I will answer both questions. One answer. Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Um, we just focus on the one thing while implementing our project, you know. We just focus on the research, market research. Just also, me and our team are the representative of our target group, like ages 60 to 25. But we don't know. We can't share what that group of people need and what's their I don't know, passion, maybe what's their interest, and that's why we need to decide some market research on that before every step of the project, and then it will be clear that first one we did a survey encompassing 1,000 people, ages 60 to 25, and they said that we really need precise knowledge. Maybe it's about through some guidebook, or maybe it's yeah. Then we choose Manal will be the great option for them. And then the scale up phase of the project, we also did market research and with the target group, and they said that we our passion is so different from the other people, and really use digital media and smartphones daily. And we decided, oh, we can maybe distribute our this complicated knowledge through comic book and maybe youth club and maybe website. It will be helpful. Then yeah, it was helpful. Thank you.
Yes, I think we have 2 or 3 minutes, so why don't you ask question? Yes. Yes.
So I'm really happy to see that you also brought in the examples for us to see. So I see that you are also connected to your audience. You're connected to your people who have joined you in this cause. So how is it that we can also, through our learnings, for example, our taking, also, keep in contact with all those who are now with us and support them as well? Do you understand? I mean, I should rather rephrase it. Like, I saw that you brought us 3 examples from those who have joined your youth club or who are with you on this, check project. So is it some strategy also that you're using to stay in connection with them? Do you have any binding or bounding place where you can be and help them out with things? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. I can say that is there are many types of maybe ways to implement some of the projects, social projects, through the many types of activities, and why we choose these 5 activities that we choose. Firstly, we choose one main activity. In this first phase of the project, it was Manal, and then we choose, oh, Manal alone can't be the solution, because it's okay. It's a digital Manal. It can be written by online, but how can we distribute this a lot more people? And then we think about that oh, we just maybe educate some of the people from our target group, and they can maybe share what they learn through their community. with using our manual. And there is a main activity, main initiative, and with the sub-activity. In the first phase, it was a manual with the Youth Ambassador program, and in the scale-up phase, our main activity was comic book, and then we want to promote our comic book through our website and through our club. Club is actually maybe our tactic to continually promoting our project, because every young people has stopped their participation when project ended. So that's the big obstacle for us. And then we decide to, oh yes, we must establish youth club, and they maybe can contribute our project continually even after the project ended. So we have a main initiative with the sub-initiatives in every phase of the project. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So I think you have more questions, but after the other presenters' presentation, we can have more Q&A time. So if you have question for her, why don't you wait a little bit more so we can continue our questions and discussions. So now I'd like to move to the second presenter's presentation. Our second presenter is from Nigeria, Inioluwa Odekunle. He is a visionary leader dedicated to dismantling socio-economic inequalities and marginalization through the power of storytelling and media. Yes, Nigeria in we call it Nollywood. The Nigerian movie industry is really fascinating sectors now. And as the founder of the Identity Project, he channels his passion into creating socially relevant video documentaries through the promote global citizenship education, culture, and foster intercultural understanding. In Olua, firmly believes in bridge building through shared values while embracing the rich tapestry of human experiences. With over 7 years of experience as a project manager, he has spearheaded impactful initiatives focused on child education, poverty alleviation, and also addressing youth-related issues. Nigeria is one of the most important and biggest country in sub-Saharan Africa, and also they have more than 270 ethnic groups. So it is really a huge countries, and they have a lot of the social issues. So I think Inioluwa Odekunle has a lot of stories for us today. So why don't you speak your own experience and project? You have 20 minutes, and there will be a bell sound. It means you can see the left side, and you can see the remaining the times.
Okay, thank you, Hans. First of all, I'd like to say that it's a pleasure to meet you today, and to have a moderator who has been to Nigeria and who can speak a bit of my dialect gives me a warm feeling. As you already know, my name is Inioluwa, and the short form of all I do is I create socially relevant videos and documentaries. And I started doing this as I stumbled on storytelling while trying to understand how to measure impact. And we do a lot of socially relevant initiatives in the communities in Nigeria. As like I said, we have a lot of issues. And but sometimes I grew dissatisfied with what we were doing, because I felt like it was like whitewashing. You do a project in a community, you take pictures that are nice looking and post on Instagram, and you celebrate. But the people who your project is for, they still remain the same way. There's no change. And while trying to understand really what impact is, I came across, I learned that people don't really care about your slides or your data if you cannot tell a story around it, you know. And so that is how I came into telling stories. But before I go any further, I would like to play one of the videos from a project that UNESCO sponsored me and my team to produce in Nigeria. So we watch the video now.
That was the first time I witnessed owning 11 properties killing people. Christians and Muslims are the majority in Kaduna State and northern Nigeria.
We misunderstand each other. A Muslim is seeing Christian as a threat, when a Christian sees Muslim as a threat.
In dealing with different people from different faiths, that helped me a lot to learn as a pastor how to respect other faiths, not only mine.
God love peace. We all want peace.
Okay, this video is an excerpt from the first documentary we shot under a project called Dolafia, which I will introduce soon enough. And just to give you a background, the pastor in this video is born from the northern part of Nigeria, which is predominantly made up of the Hausa-speaking tribe, and also predominantly from the Islamic religion. And this part of the country is where the famous Boko Haram insurgent group is from, and I'm sure a number of you might have heard about Boko Haram. And so you can see that this this issue was something that is close to home, and he started an initiative over 12 years ago, and he tried to bring Christians and Muslims together to solve the problem in the society. And this was groundbreaking at that time, because it used to be Christians doing good work for everybody, or Muslims doing good work for everybody. But he came up with the idea of working together with them to do good. So it's not one person on this side and one person on the other side trying to do good, but it's we all together trying to do good. And he was able to bring them together in his community, and he will raise funds through the church and try to use these funds to help Muslims in the community, and not just socially helping, but also rebuilding some mosques that have been demolished due to clashes. And so it was interesting to hear his story, and the story of two other people who are Muslims as well, with him working in the same organization. But before I go any further, I would just like to introduce the Identity Project. The Identity Project, we produce documentaries, we like to tell stories that are real, that people can connect to, and that's just the short form. Let me not take too much time on that. But when I think about GCED, these are the three things that come to mind. Responsibility. And it's interesting that yesterday someone talked about responsibility. And I just feel like GCED is all about you having that sense of responsibility towards your community. And I had no part in any religious violence, but I felt it was a responsibility towards my community. And so that's just what GCED means to me. And the second thing is agency, in the sense that in Nigeria right now, we have a lot of internally displaced people, IDPs as they're called. And agency may not mean much to you as a person, because you don't have to think about whether you have agency or not, because you have agency. But when someone becomes a refugee in their own country, it's a different thing being a refugee in another country and being a refugee in your own country, meaning you lose your identity, you lose your homeland, and you're having to move. You have to come to the question of agency. Am I human enough? Am I worthy of being treated as a human? Am I worthy of the same opportunities that I aspire to, and I feel like every other human being should aspire to? So these are some of the thoughts that come to my mind when I think about GCED and how GCED can come into solving so many of these issues. And the last thing is competency, which is the educational aspect or the academic aspect of global citizenship. And I feel like competency ties the two together. You can have responsibility or knowledge. You know that you should do something. But if you don't have the competency, you may not be able to do it. And you can have agency, which is about having a good self-image and understanding that you have the ability to change your situation. But without the competency, you might also fall short. So these are just some thoughts that I had while I was preparing this presentation and concerning GCED as lifelong learning. And I would just also throw it out there as a conversation that we can have after. When you think about GCED, what is one word that you feel like encapsulates the whole numerous themes of what GCED can represent? I feel like lifelong learning is important, because positive change, which is what we are all after in various projects and our various interventions that we implement in our communities is a lifelong process. You know, going back to what I talked about, trying to understand how to measure impact. Impact takes time. Sometimes some impact is not felt in a generation. It's generational. And this is why I believe that lifelong learning is a huge part of creating positive change and a huge part of GCED, because at different points in time, you need to be different things in different spaces to achieve the positive change that you're trying to achieve. And that's just a thought I wanted to put out there. And coming back to what I do with videos, we see that social media is really a huge place for learning, DIY. I'm a new father. I've learned a lot about fatherhood and raising children just by watching Instagram. You know, talk about, when your baby has colic or when you're trying to burp your baby, you know, and this is informal learning. I don't have to pay for a course. I don't have to go online and all that. And I feel like as GCD practitioners, we can tap into this informal learning by creating content and stories and documentaries like what I just shared now. And we actually learn on a daily basis through interactions and through videos we watch online, through documentaries. And you may not have heard about Boko Haram or about the religious issues in Nigeria, but if you watch the documentary, you might be able to pick a few things that you can maybe extrapolate to your own personal issues in your own community as well. And that's why I feel like informal learning is a critical part of propagating global citizenship as an idea and as a movement. This project that I'm about to talk about is called Dolafia. The central part of it is modeling. And it's interesting that Professor Esther Kerr yesterday mentioned about modeling. And I believe I'm a strong proponent of modeling. Like I said, as a new father, I try to teach my children a few things. They are just barely up to 4 months. And I started I'll stick my tongue out at my child. And without any form of any other communication, I found out that when I carry her, she does the same to me. And it's like, as humans, we are endued with that natural ability to learn by watching, you know. And so I believe that GCED, beyond just having conversations about it, when we begin to model it, we'll go further and go a long way in transforming the society. And this documentary, this project called Dolafia, really, really explains how I feel like modeling can work, and I will get there shortly. So Dolafia is a word that we came up with, my team and I, and it means peace, and it is from the three major dialects or languages we have in Nigeria, of which Mr. Han speaks one, which is Yoruba, where I'm from. So we have the Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa. And we took the words that mean peace in these three languages and tried to put it together to form one word, which is Dolafia, and to say that, we want to ensure that everyone in Nigeria understands that each part of the country comes together to ensure this peace, and there's no prosperity without peace, and there's no progress without peace. And so Dolafia came to life, and what we tried to do with Dolafia was we wanted to model how it's possible for peace between Christians and Muslims to exist. And while doing the research, we found out that news likes to sensationalize negativity, because negativity sells. You know, when something good happens, maybe a few people might report it, but nobody really cares. But when something bad happens, or something like the war that broke out recently, everyone is on social media. People are cutting certain clips of it and putting it on YouTube to make money, because somehow it seems we like to watch tragedy. I don't know. I don't know why that is. But I believe that this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, in the sense that the more you take in news that says Christians and Muslims cannot live together peacefully, they cannot exist peacefully, subconsciously you begin to believe and buy into that narrative, and you begin to act it out. And so when you see a Christian and Muslim in a community, you automatically expect there to be some sort of clash and violence, and inadvertently that will happen, right? And so first goal for us was we wanted to change the narrative. We wanted to try to look for positive stories that showed Christians and Muslims interacting and intersecting positively, productively, and peacefully. And so we had these 3 P's as our objectives, keeping in mind that we did not want to preach to people about peace. That is an old message that everyone knows about. The fact that you know about it doesn't always translate to you carrying out action on it, but we wanted to sort of use these stories to reinforce the fact that although you may have heard about negative news about Christians and Muslims not being able to live peacefully, when we show you models of people, Christians and Muslims, whose life intersects peacefully, positively, and productively, you can begin to see that there is a possibility of that happening to you as well as a Christian or as a Muslim. And that was the sole strategy or tactic or whatever you want to call it that we used for this project called Dolafia. And like I said, we had 3 P's. Peaceful, meaning that we were looking for a story or stories of Christians and Muslims who engage peacefully in their communities. Secondly, positively, meaning that through their engagement peacefully, first of all, we're able to see a spillover of positive impacts, right? And then the last thing is productively. We wanted the story not just to be inspirational, we wanted it to be also aspirational, meaning that we wanted people to watch it and not just go, oh, I like this. We wanted people to also react in a way that they started thinking how they can also achieve this for themselves. We wanted them to aspire to that as well. And so productivity for us meant that this Christian and Muslim who were interacting together must be successful in what they are doing, right? And so through the help of a team member, which I will mention, our team was made up of both Christians and Muslims, like I mentioned. We wanted to ensure that it was not about a Christian intervention or a Muslim intervention. We wanted it to be a multi-religious intervention so that both sides can relate to what we're doing. And the beautiful thing about it was the strongest story that achieved this whole peaceful, positive, and productive engagement between a Christian and a Muslim came to us through a Muslim member in our team. And the video which you're going to watch shortly is just a short excerpt from the documentary, and it was an interview-style documentary. We have 2 friends who met in the university. One is a Christian and the other is a Muslim, and they built a very strong friendship that has lasted over 30 years. Very, very successful people. They both graduated as first-class students from the university. They went abroad, came back to Nigeria, and started an oil and gas firm in Nigeria that is successful. And so we see that, first of all, they have peaceful interactions. Their interaction has led to them creating something that is productive. They're not just friends, they are business partners. And for you to get to that level of friendship, that is deep. And so I will let you watch the video. The video will speak for itself now.
I was born here in Lagos.
I was born in Delta State. My parents are actually devout Christians. I did my secondary school, St. Ignatius Loyola.
My memory of growing up is my father was always holding me by the hand, taking me to the mosque with him.
We entered Unilag, I think 1982. We found ourselves in the same room.
Room U117.
Our relationship actually blossomed from there. And the truth is that because of the values, it didn't even occur to me that he's a Muslim or I myself am a Christian. I just saw a very good friend, loving.
On reflection also, on my part, I think those qualities that we share is what has really cemented the relationship. And these were not things we were doing because of each other.
Yeah.
I was who I was, and he was who he was.
Anytime I watch this video, I still get goosebumps, the same way I felt when I was recording this video with my team. From this story, we wanted people that watched it to see a model of a Christian and a Muslim who have been able to interact in a way that has achieved those 3 Ps I mentioned earlier. And also, you can see from it that they chose to focus on what they shared in common as opposed to what differentiates them. And I think at the end of the day, that is the fundamental thing for achieving peace, whether personally, at the local level, or at the regional level, or national level, or whatever level. Choosing what to focus on. And we all have that ability and that choice as human beings. We have the willpower to decide on what we would like to zoom in on, what we would like to remind ourselves of on a daily basis. And I think at the end of the day, that is what peace building would really, really come down to. And as we started this project, it was important not to fool ourselves. We knew that it is impossible to change people's minds. We can only trigger you with messages, subliminal messages. We can only remind you about what we believe that you know, or what is the human value that you should ascribe to, and leave it in your hands to get to the point of self-reflection or critical thinking and come to that. And I just put here some of the comments that we got on social media. These are good comments, but trust me, we also had negative comments. And so you're running a peace-building campaign, and within the peace-building campaign, you have people fighting from both sides. We had Muslims, we had Christians coming to talk about religion and all that. But for us, the aim was not to talk about religion. The aim was to talk about being humans and engaging with each other beyond your religious, whatever religion you ascribe to. And one of the things that we found some encouragement from was we found people also having self-reflection. We have someone that talked about their friendship with a Muslim that has evolved over the years. And for us, that showed that that was a win. And without further ado, I'll just rush through some of the highlights. We use social media, obviously, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and we ran some promotions. And we were able to reach 100,000 people. We were also, our team was made up of Christians and Muslims. And we were also able to infuse the Hausa language, which is from the northern part of Nigeria, and which is the part of the country we wanted to really, really reach. And it was difficult to translate, but we had to do it because it was one of the objectives that we set for ourselves at the beginning. And the last thing we found out was that the second highest engagement we found from social media analytics was from the Kaduna and from the Kano, which is part of the northern part of Nigeria. And so we're happy about that. And just in closing, I just want to encourage us all to be proactive, in using stories to create models of a global citizen. And I will throw a challenge out there. I'm also thinking about one word that encapsulates what GCD means to you. Also think about a person, a figure, preferably a human figure, that when you think about GCD, represents GCD to you. It could be someone dead or alive. I know some people might think about Nelson Mandela and people like that, but just a challenge. And I just want to encourage us to try to put stories out there and model what it is that you're trying to pass across to people. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Inyolua. Personally, I have observed the Nigerian ethnic conflict issues since 1993, almost 30 years now. And his presentation is very movable for me because I observed during 1996, when I finished my 1-year-long fieldwork, when I left my village right after 2 weeks, there were big clash between two, even they are same Yoruba ethnic group, but historically they have a long memory of like a collective memory of conflict. So because of that conflict, one of my friend, his house was burnt down, and one of his family members died at that incident. So in his message, he said that Dolafia is very, personally it is interesting because there are main 3 ethnic groups in Nigeria, the Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. They made this vocabulary together to mean peace, and Dolafia So the Latvia project will be, I think, the very uh, Nigeria's case is the hope of to make cultural peace in this sensitive issue of the identity politics in contemporary Nigeria. So I think you have many questions for him. Why don't you ask him your own questions? Raise your hand and we'll deliver a mic for you. Yes, from young lady from Mexico, I remember you.
Oh, yeah. So my question is, what was your strategies to reach these people, to motivate them to present and, like, yes, give their cases for everyone to see, because sometimes can be problems with security or these problems of hate and things like that, or bad comments. How do you motivate them to share their stories, and also how you reach to them? You meet them before you do a research? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. When you talk about religion, it's a very sensitive topic, and yeah, emotions get frayed. Um, so we took that into account. We actually had three other stories that we didn't put out because of this issue of sensitivity and security. But our strategy was to really build a personal connection with the people we wanted to share stories with. So, like I mentioned, this last story was brought to us from one of our team members, a Muslim person. She was close to the imam, with the Muslim man in the story, and she was able to introduce me to the person. And I reached out to the man. We had a discussion, and when I shared with him what I was trying to do, he was impressed, and we were able to set up a meeting, and that happened. Now, the other story that came from the northern part of Nigeria, I couldn't go there for security reasons, but also because they would not relate to me very well. What I did was I have a friend from the northern part of Nigeria. I contacted him. Thankfully, he also has a production team, and I just coordinated with them remotely, and that was how we were able to get these two stories and some other stories which were not shared. But at the end of the day, when it comes to sharing people's story, I try to make them feel comfortable. We want to hear from the horse's mouth. I didn't try to interfere with the narrative. I didn't try to say, oh, this is what we're trying to achieve at the end of the day with this story. We just will let them share their story, and in the post-production, I'm editing it. I understand what I want to achieve. I cut with a bit of ethics to not try and twist the story to my own advantage, So those are the things that we did as a team to ensure that we were able to get some stories and tell and share the stories authentically. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, first floor.
Hi, my name is Omer. My question is, like, as you mentioned, that religion is very personal, and then it's really difficult to talk about at some points. And then you get people to talk on camera and share their beliefs, or maybe So what are the challenges you faced during your interviews and sessions, and also maybe share a bit of strategies how you overcame that? Thank you.
Okay. So, um, in getting people to share on camera their stories, was first of all, it had to do first of all with the angle at which we were coming from. Like I said, we didn't come from the angle of preaching to people about peace. We also did not come to maybe compare religions. We didn't say, oh, this religion is good, this religion is bad, this religion is peaceful, this religion is violent. That was not our aim. In fact, we were not interested in that conversation, because that conversation itself is what propagates, the violence and the disagreements. We came at it from a point of personal friendships, personal relationships. We highlighted the possibility of two people, Christians and Muslims, at a personal level, engaging peacefully, productively, and positively. That takes out the question or the equation of religion. The only thing that makes it about religion is the fact that you subscribe to this religion and that religion. But that was not in the conversation. The conversation was about how you engage in your daily activities, in your businesses, in your foundation, and how you're able to work with. And if you think about it, we work with Christians and we work with Muslims on a daily basis, you know. It's not an issue. But when you make the topic about religion, then it becomes an issue. You understand? So for us, that was one strategy we tried to do. And then secondly, we tried to do modeling. In the documentary, we tell you, yes, this person is a Christian, this person is a Muslim. So you already have the idea that there's religion, there's an underplay of religion in that conversation. But at the end of the day, we don't hone in on that religion. We hone in on the things that you share in common, which is possibly a business venture you work on together, possibly you share the same hobbies and things like that. And in another video, which I didn't put in this presentation, we also went onto the streets. We had like a Vox Pop interview, kind of like engagement with people on the streets. And what we tried to do was we tried to interview diverse people, from an Okada rider to Okada means motorcycle. For those, I'm sorry for using that, but like a motorcycle rider. We interviewed an accountant, a trader, you know, just different people, a mechanic, and we asked them, what's your name? What do you do? And then the last question we asked, what's your religion? And so when we put it all in a grid form, so we had like maybe a 4x4 or 4x5 grid, and we put different pictures of people there. And when you look at it, except someone that dresses with the traditional religious attire, you cannot tell what religion each person subscribes to just by looking at their face. And so that was some of the strategies that we tried to use in the project. Yeah.
Thank you. I think you have more questions, but please wait till after whole presentation. We have a 20 minutes discussion time, so I will allow those 20 minutes to all of you. So thank you, Ini Olua. And we have our final presenters from the Daegu Susong district. Her name is An Hyun-suk. She is work in the Future Education Policy Team Leader in Susong Future Education Foundations. Susong district is very famous in Korea because the Susong district developed global citizenship education for lifelong education. I think it's almost almost 10 years now, because I remember I visited their district to present in the lifelong education the programs, and I found that the participants, they are really they have their willingness to join this the global citizenship education programs. And also when I discuss with the participants, they are really vividly, they think about their own city's problems, and then they are concerned about their own way of life, and they try to practice as a global citizens after the education courses. So she did the doctoral degree in lifelong education at the graduate school, and also she worked as a lifelong educator at Lifelong Learning City for more than 15 years. And so I think she's very expert in this part in the Republic of Korea. So she will present in Korean, so you can use your interpretation device, and then Ms. An will talk in 20 minutes. So 발표해 주시면 되겠습니다. 20분입니다.
안녕하세요. 네. Ladies and gentlemen, can you now hear me well? Can you hear the interpretation? Can everybody hear me? Yes, thank you very much. I believe that I have to start again. So, yes, I will repeat myself for your benefit.
네. 저는 그 지방
Yes, so in my presentation, I would like to talk about what kind of global citizenship education programs were underway by a local government. And it's been my, fourth event. as a part of the International Conference on GCED in 2018, I was joined by middle school students of our academy, and we were a part of a 90-minute session. So we ran that session, and in 2019, we also had another sub-session. And in 2022, due to COVID-19, of course, it was conducted online, so we weren't able to take part in person. But with our students, we've opened up a global citizenship village of Susang District on Metaverse. And what we did was inform and share our program. And even now, there is a Metaverse link, so you can actually join and see what kind of programs we had. So I'm here all alone this time around, so I'm a bit lonely to be all by myself without my students. But I want to mention that the information or the journey that I would like to share with you is about the programs, our 7-year journey of how we've really been, as a local government, conducted a strategy to expand out and to disseminate to global citizenship. So this program or this presentation is not on a single project, but rather I want to share with you what kind of local government strategies were underway to disseminate global citizenship. But in order to better your understanding, I think that it's better for you to understand the lifelong learning city of Korea and the educational administration system, or the lifelong educator of Korea. So I think that with such background knowledge, it would probably better your understanding. So with regard to the educational administrative system, we have a local system, a local government system, and a educational administration system. So at a education office, they focus on local formal education or schools, and at the local government, they actually conduct adult education or any non-formal education that takes place outside the schools. So typically at the Ministry of Education, they do have a lifelong learning division, and they also have a project on lifelong learning cities. But the Ministry of Education would designate a lifelong learning city amongst the many cities in Korea and have that city employ a lifelong educator. And the lifelong educator puts together non-formal education programs, and you have to be certified to do that. And I am also certified lifelong educator, and I've been working at the Susang District local government for about 12 years as a certified lifelong educator. So I've been really into this program to introduce various activities, and I would like to share with you what kind of programs we did engage in. Well, first of all, in terms of the population, we have a population of 410,000. We have about 75 schools. And in terms of the number of students, about 60,000 in this district. And to give you some more information, as mentioned, I will start off with what a local government-led policy project looks like and what we did at Susang District. And I've mentioned that I took part in this international conference from 2018, and my take was that it's true that most of the presentations were focused on pedagogy. It was about how GCED can actually be reflected in pedagogy, how we can nurture and cultivate teachers or instructors. So that was the focus in the past. However, I see that these days we've been seeing some more emphasis on lifelong learning and adult education, or in other words, in the case of andragogy, how we can actually put that together. But as a local government, I've mentioned we've been focused on lifelong learning. So we started off with adult education and learning, and we've been trying to spread this out to schools, to children. And another strategy that we had was, in order to disseminate GCED, we thought putting together local civic groups would be a good strategy. So that's what we did. Therefore, we put together local civic groups that led the GCED work. So I would also like to share that with you. So this is a heads up to what I would like to share with you in my presentation. So once again, we have a population of 410,000. And in running a global citizenship education program, of course, there were various tools that we have utilized. Well, first of all, we are a part of the IAEC Asia Pacific Regional Network meeting, and there are 13 cities that actually put together a joint declaration. It was 2017, so we're one of the 13 cities. So you can see that whether it be formal education or non-formal education or any education of any kind, GCED would be expanded and disseminated. There would be no discrimination with regard to gender or race, and that all educating cities should make sure to expand global citizenship education through the exchange of successful experiences of all kinds of fields. So these principles or this joint declaration was put together amongst the 13 educating cities. But as you know, in order to put this into action, you need budget, you need resources, and you need the right policy and strategy. But I do want to mention that such a joint declaration or these principles actually been a good driving force in running our programs. And we also have a Susonggu Global Academy for Women. So this is a project for adults. As mentioned, we started off with adult education. And the reason why we launched this academy was if we can actually change the mindset of women, the women in their families actually have a great impact on the mindset of their family members and typically on their children. So we thought that if we can actually find a way to instill global citizenship in women in their mindsets, the impact that in itself would be quite significant. So that's why from 2012, for 10 years, every year, we have cultivated 60 GCED women at this academy. And the curriculum includes various interesting programs, experiential programs, and it's a one-year course. And you can also engage in overseas volunteering at your own expense, but that opportunity is offered. And all of the entire curriculum consists of 20 classes. And as you can see here, it encompasses environment, human rights, energy, poverty, climate change. So education on all of these topics is probably a very significant characteristic. But to really conduct this training for those in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and if we open such a program, what happens is, of course, lifelong learning is something that you really have to have that will and determination. So typically, we won't have a lot of people joining in, but what we did was actually introduce various examples and activities to, and also link these programs with roles that they can play in the community so that they can take part actively. And all of these education programs did not really touch upon these challenges with a senior fashion. We just wanted to raise the awareness, keep it as light as possible to motivate the citizens so that they can actually put what they've learned into action in their everyday life. So that was the focus. So as you can see here, we will actually visit these sites, conduct field programs, and a lot of volunteering is also conducted with our members. And for those that complete the program, what they did was they put together a group under the name of Susong Global ESD Practical Solidarity. So it was 2013 when this was established, and this group conducts various activities. So there's a lot they're doing, but in lieu of time, let me just give you the key highlights. This was in 2015, which was campaign to save water. So it's about putting together an EM soil ball to improve water quality. And this is on recycling, reuse and recycling and upcycling. So we had the members of the Solidarity take part in these programs. And I've mentioned that in 2017, there was a conference on educating cities where we've put together a joint program. And typically, if you join a conference, you get these bags with the books. And our Solidarity group members actually gathered wasted jeans, and they put together all of the fabric to put together this bag using the denim fabric. And the participants of the conference really loved this idea because this is one and only. There is no same bag. So they've actually put together all of the wasted denim fabric to put together this, to make these bags. And I'm sure that in your homes, in your drawers, there are so many pencils or stationery glasses that you no longer use, but there are third world countries that do not have any of these resources. Well, we do have 23 administrative dongs within the district. So what we did was put together a collection box to have these accessories, glasses, and stationery, pencils, pens, collect that all together, and to have that sent to third world countries and also use this for our volunteer work. And as you know, plastic is a major issue. It's a worldwide challenge. And this was a program on better ways of recycling. We've actually conducted a survey. And this was one way to pressure companies to have and obligate companies to put together or produce their packaging or their bottles in a way to actually make it more recyclable. So this was on some of the programs that was underway. This education program took place for more than 3 years to pressure companies, and this is also on better recycling for apartment complexes. And there was also a time when we've actually sent out sanitary napkins. We had a volunteering group in Cambodia, so this was the members coming together to make cotton sanitary napkins for Cambodians. And you can see that there was a lot of volunteer work, overseas volunteering throughout the world, and even during COVID. As you know, in Korea, there was this massive rush for masks, for face masks. And citizens, although it was quite risky back then, they made cotton masks. And they've made a total of 1,500 masks, and they have donated all of this to the district office. And also, during COVID, we've also had this program where we would share products or things that we no longer use. And I mentioned that there was a Global Women Academy, and we were a part of this academy from 2012. And we had many in their 40s and 50s that were trained in these programs. But I wanted to mention that their mindset, their attitudes, their perspectives really did change with this academy and with this program. So we thought that it would be great if we can actually spread this out to the youth, the younger generation and the future generation. And that's why we decided to launch a program for GCED for the youth. So on a Saturday, we put together a GCED Academy, and we've actually put up a notice to invite guests. And this was the curriculum. It was 3 years early on a Saturday, consisting of 12 classes. And with the success of this program for the youth, what we did was actually invite 30 members to conduct this program not outside the school, but inside the school. So we had participating schools where the instructors actually conducted this program for the children at the schools. And you can see that there were various interesting programs, Model United Nations meetings, and with Yeongnam University, we've also engaged in a joint program. And also with Good Neighbors, we had an agreement to conduct a joint program with them as well. And not only that, we had a GCED practice competition where the family would be involved together to share activities of GCED and also engaging in various experiential projects. So our initial strategy was on finding a way to attain sustainability and professionality. In other words, in nurturing and cultivating GCED experts and have these GCED civic experts to disseminate global citizenship across the district. So that was the approach. And well, in hindsight, for the past 7 years, I believe that this was a critical factor in our success. So our very beginning was supported by APSEU. From 2017, through our agreement with APSEU, we were able to open up these professional courses. And at that time, our moderator, Professor Han, actually joined us and has conducted lectures on GCED. And I can see that, yes, he probably felt the passion. So a total of 75 hours and a total of 42 were trained and educated, or excuse me, 41, and they've put together a research association, and they are now putting together programs, and they're taking part in this work as instructors. And I believe that our education program also had quite value. We've utilized the acronym of GCED. So we started off with a game for these programs to cultivate local experts. And as was presented by Nigeria, through videos, we had the participants identify the problems or the issues themselves. And we've engaged in team projects all together to find a way to introduce solutions. And last but not least, was on putting together a clear message. So even at the end of this course, to really make sure that the insights live on and so that these activities continue on. So GCED was the program that we had in this program. And we together a teaching guide based on our GCED approach. And this was based on the Adult Education Guide of UNESCO. And you can see that this guide was for elementary, middle, and high school students in teaching these school students. And there's also our online band community, the Global Citizenship Education Research Association community, and you can see the various activities underway. So one of the reasons why we were greatly successful as a local government was because the policy makers really had that understanding of the direction of education. And we, of course, started off with non-formal education, and that helped us really disseminate this training program in a more convenient fashion across the district. And of course, we believe that assessment is key. This is a Global Citizen Academy that was launched for middle school students. So we've actually engaged in a pre-test and a post-test, so before and after the academy program. So we wanted to understand, and we did find out that middle school students were not able to engage in activities because they weren't really aware of the concept. And as you can see, the post-test, we've been seeing great progress. And some of the feedback, they said that we now know that we is important, not I. And you can see that their feedback does indicate that they were able to really harness themselves on the importance of citizen education, global citizenship values. We asked them, how can you define GCED? And they said that it's generosity, friends, it's people, it's listening. So these were some of the key words that they dropped from the education. Also efforts, practice. So some of the key words. And I believe that they do have the answer to our future GCED education. And in engaging in global citizenship education, I think that's really important to think globally but act locally. This is something very key. And I've mentioned that we have a Global Women's Academy, and from 2012, we were very much focused on these educational values. So it indicates because of my serenity, so that the neighbors are not uncomfortable, because of our comfort, so that the child is not discomforted, because of the present abundance, so that the future is not poor. So this was the value that we had, the values of our education program at the academy. And I believe that GCED is basically one for all and all for one. One person provides education for everyone, everyone provides education for one person. It's about leaving no one behind and really making sure that we can live in coexistence. And another area that I'm interested is, of course, we were able to actually introduce this into formal and informal education, but now our next endeavor is looking into disseminate this into non-formal education. But thanks to the presentations from Nigeria and Mongolia, I was able to get a lot of insight for our future programs. So I really love this quote as I do my work. Everyone here, we're gathered here today to change the world with global citizenship education. So we have that very same cause, and education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world, and I hope that that is the case. And with that, let me end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anyeon Suk. And she present the wonderful story of the Susong district, Daegu metropolitan cities in southeastern part of Korean Peninsula. I got a message from the organizer that we have just 5 more minutes. We are we are proposed to finish at 11:30, but we have only the 5-minute extra time. So right now it's 11:20, so I think 15 minutes we can gather questions from the floor. So why don't you raise your hand. When you ask a question, please specify whom do you want to ask. Okay, the table. So we will gather some 1 or 2 questions at first, and then gather answer from the presenters and move on to another questions.
Okay, thank you. I would like to ask to Miss Anne. Your programs are very interesting, and there are 2 programs that I would like to know more. The first one is related to Susenggu Global Academy for Women. For the mode, is it online or offline, or maybe even hybrid? Okay, maybe you can explain further. And is there any scholarship for attending the program? And if it is, how is the procedure? And is it applied to participants from outside Korea? And then the second one is cycling to the referring to the recycling programs. Do you also have such programs, for example, in Indonesia, since I noted that you only mentioned Cambodia? Okay, thank you. I'm Susie from Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you. So while she is preparing her answer, I'll gather more questions. Yes, the middle of the table.
First, this is An Hyun-suk. I also came from Susang district. I'm working for Daegu Girls High School. And also I was a member of government team last year. I should have met you last year. I'm sorry. Yes, I think we can learn from those two inspiring teachers for some kinds of non-formal way of education. So my question is going to, I'm sorry, Ini Ulua from Nigeria. Yes, we know it has a long history of conflicts between different religions. So how was the beginning of those two old friends? We don't make friends at the beginning, even though sometimes it happens between lovers. Just 3 seconds is enough, but I'm not sure we can make friends. Anyway, informal learning is superpower you mentioned, right? So, is the friendship possible thanks to some social mood in Nigeria or their family moods or anything else which gives some influence to their start of friendship? That's my question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So this question is for Iniolua, and I will get one more question before we answer the questions. Yes, the right side, please.
Hi, Pat Dolan, UNESCO Chair for Children, Youth and Civic Engagement in Ireland. Thank you very much for the presentations. Absolutely, really good. My question is to Iniolua as well. And I'm really interested in modelling. I think it's really interested in it. Some people argue that you can have negative modelling. What I mean by that, and you understand what and I'd just like to hear your comments on that. I obviously am not in favor of negative modelling, but and I suppose I'm interested in your views from your experience about how you counteract that.
Okay, and why don't you listen the answers now? So, Dr. An Hyun-suk, you can answer first. Please use your semi-interpretation device.
네, 질문 감사합니다.
Yes, thank you very much for the questions. So first on the Global Academy for Women, it was an offline course. And from 2012, for 10 years, we've been conducting this, and so it was a 1-year course. And in the case of the hybrid format, during the COVID years, because we couldn't gather together, that was the only time when we actually had a hybrid format, but it's an offline course. And also with regard to the activities, during COVID, we really wanted to do something for the world. So those were the practices and programs that were underway during COVID-19 particularly. And the Global Academy for Women, of course, as you know, with regard to adult education, it's about your own will and determination. So we always await for anyone that would like to participate. We have a wonderful program together, and it's open doors. Anybody can take part. But of course, when we first started the program, as mentioned, this curriculum, it's not, it may be a bit boring. So we really wanted to find a way to invite more participants. But initially, we had about 130 applicants for a 60-seat program. And what we did was select people based on their volunteering work because we had many that wanted to participate. And with regard to the recycling programs, I'm sure that depending on the policy and the regulation of the respective nation, this project may vary. So in the case of the Republic of Korea, we were very much focused on reuse and recycling, and we have many environmental policies. So we have that policy, but what happens is sometimes it's very difficult for the citizens to actually implement this in their everyday life and would not know what to do. So we were very much focused on how this can be done in their everyday life. So in Indonesia and Cambodia, I think that rather than trying to go into what we can adapt there, just wanted to share with you what we did in Korea. And with regard to Global Academy for Women, it would be great if we can have overseas participants. That would be great. But of course, it's conducted in Korean, unfortunately. So for those of you that can actually fluently speak Korea, we will let the head of our district know to make sure that we have this open for our overseas participants. Thank you.
Iniolua,
Okay, thank you
we
for
have
the
two
question.
questions.
Yeah. So for the question about how their friendship started, to be honest, their story is like they are outliers. It's not very common, but how their story started was based on the situation they found themselves in at that time. They were both students, and in Unilag, which they went to, we have a a hostel for the first class students. So, and they were both first class students, and they found themselves in the same room. And I think just that camaraderie of being in school, as boys, I think they were able to find commonalities amongst themselves. So, and again, they chose to focus on that, because some other people went to school so and were in the same room, but they didn't develop a friendship. So, I think it was just similar experiences at that point in time that was able to bring them together, and remarkably, they stayed together. For the second question about negative modeling, definitely. In fact, we see negative modeling a lot. Presently in Nigeria, for those that might follow Nigerian pop culture, we had recently one celebrity, a young guy, an artist, very creative guy, rest his soul. He died. Allegedly, he was murdered, was poisoned. And so there's been a national outcry saying we want justice for him and all that. But the issue surrounding that exactly was negative modeling, because he belonged to a record label that was promoting very, very loose negative morals. And for some reason, the Nigerian society, which prides itself on being morally upright, embraced his music and embraced a certain culture. For instance, he has some things he says about he says some things about, like, you don't need a certificate if you have a good body. He says things like you don't need to respect anybody. You don't need to be afraid of anybody. Just do what you like. So there are cases of how pop culture can entrench negative. But when this happened, people began to wake up and like, we've been listening to this guy's songs, we've been listening to his music. How come we didn't realize that he was promoting negative things that we don't subscribe to? And they found that young people are actually behaving in the manner at which he kind of like commands them to do. It was a huge movement in Nigeria. So that's an example of negative modeling. So definitely there's that possibility. But I think the way to combat it is still by modeling. You just have to fight. You fight a sword fight with a sword, sort of, so the more we keep putting out positive messages, positive sorts of models that people can see, so there's now a competition. What do you see the more of? If you see more of the negative, then you are most likely to tend towards the negative. And if you see more of the positive, so it's just a matter of, and that's why we all need to put out positive, because negativity is easy to put out. It just happens. It takes some more effort and deliberate effort to try to be positive and to put out that positive modeling, but it pays off. It will pay off in the long run for now and for the future.
Yes, thank you. And I think we have only 3 minutes now, so I will give a chance to a person who has a question, Ms. Nomima Uljibat. Is there anyone who has a question for Ms.? All right, the last table.
Good morning. My name is Anaïs. I'm from France. I work for AFS Intercultural Programs. I did have a question for you about the Check Check project. So I understand that your focus has been on the youth, but I was wondering, as it's lifelong learning, if there's also people from other generations who have been participating in the project with you.
Thank you so much for your question. Yes, of course, we must target other types of groups, like the older generations, I mean. But in my project, I see that the young person have I don't know what I can say that, but more privilege to, contribute to social oriented projects. And they express themselves more actively to global challenges than other group. And it's just what we see that, right? So maybe in the future we maybe target other types of group with other types of activities, because our project consists of activities only aligned with the interest maybe of the youth generation. Yeah, that's why we just focus on the youth aged, specifically 60 to 25. That's the generation why we see that the most passionate and interested in global issues. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I think in the beginning, I'm thinking to allow some time slot to the online participants. But because of the lack of time, I think I cannot receive a question from online participants. I'll apologize to the online participant. And today, as you see, we have very different experience and then project. Yeah, they do in different area in geographically, but also their topics are very diverse, but they also very well connected. For example, when in Olua mentioned, introduced us about the Nigerian cases, but identity conflict, it is really sometimes people say the reason is the identity conflict, religious and ethnic identities, but the real reason is not sometimes it is a religious conflict. They use religious conflict as an excuse to hide their real reasons of the social problem. Sometimes it will be the socio-economical inequalities. The same thing in the Susong district. Of course, it's not the issue of Susong district, but Daegu Metropolitan, now they are suffering of some religious conflict to building up Islamic mosque in the Daegu metropolitan area. Some Christian people, they oppose to building a new mosque, but we need to educate, we need to tell the people that is it really the conflict between religion, or we are hiding some real reasons of our conflict. For example, sometimes it will be estate prices, sometimes it will be the economic issues. So because of that, Ms. Nomima Uljibat emphasized that check project. We need to find out the real reasons and real stories. So I think today we discuss the very different cases, but for the future, how our global citizenship education needs to go, our directions and our strategies, and sharing our experience together. We discuss a lot about things. So because of lack of time, we don't discuss enough. But I think for the lunch break, they are waiting for all of you. So if you have more questions, you can talk our discussions further. Thank you very much. It will be closing of the sessions. Let's